知れ。運命には逆らいません。
雲が来る借りなく時、風を知れ。雲が来る借りなく時、風を知れ。
Hey, what's going on guys? This is 12th Harbinger and in this video I am going to give you an updated build guide for Kazuha. I am going to cover his support, EM and DPS build in this video. Main DPS build is not recommended until you have his C6, but you can still use it at C0 for fun. Let's jump right into it. I will start with the most important part of his kit, his second passive, Poetics of Fubutsu. When you swirl an element with Kazuha, all the party members get elemental damage bonus of the element that you swirl. That is, if you swirl Pyro with Kazuha, all party members will get Pyro damage bonus. The buff depends on your elemental mastery. You can swirl multiple elements to get multiple damage bonuses. Kazuha will follow this elemental priority while swirling. His elemental skill has pretty good amount of crowd control. You can press it or hold it, and after that you can do a plunge attack. The plunge attack will create a small wind tunnel that will clump the enemies together. The hold does more damage, has more crowd control and has more cooldown. But most of us will be using Kazuha with EM build, so the damage increase from hold version doesn't matter much. But there are situations where hold can be better. Like when there is a group of enemies, holding his elemental skill is more efficient for grouping the enemies. Press can also provide a bit of crowd control, but hold is generally better at grouping enemies, as it has wider AoE. Generally, in situations where you don't need crowd control, it's better to press it. You can also use his elemental skill in mid-air, so it is very useful for exploration. Pressing his E will give you 3 particles and the whole version randomly generates 3 to 4 particles. His elemental burst has a very big AoE. His burst will deal an initial hit and will deal damage over time. When you add an element to his burst, it will deal additional elemental damage along with his swirl damage. It can also snapshot. His burst has an energy cost of 60, which is not bad. His burst is super useful for swirling multiple elements. His passive talent, Summon Swordsmanship, when your elemental skill comes in contact with another element, it will absorb the element and deal additional 200% attack of the absorbed element. This will be considered as a plunge damage. Moving on to his talent priority, if you want to level his talent, you can level all the 3 of them together. The normal attack is also good because it increases your plunge damage. Leveling talents costs an insane amount of Mora and resin, so it's okay even if you don't level his talents, as he will be dealing most of the damage through swirl reaction. Also, it's totally worth it to level your Kazuha or generally any anemo character who deals most of the damage through swirls to level 90. I have made a video on this comparing level 80 Kazuha with level 90. You can check it out later, I will put the link in the description. You can do double swirls with Kazuha and Bennett. Start by applying the element you want to swirl on your enemy. I am using Cryo here. In Bennett's burst, Kazuha will be affected with Pyro, and as Pyro gets the highest priority, Kazuha will infuse Pyro in his burst. This way, you can get 2 elemental damage bonus at the same time. This can also be helpful for certain reaction comps like Melt Team, Child National Team, or if you want to proc Overload in certain Electro comps. You can do this trick for Child National comp. Start by applying Hydro on the enemy by pressing Child's elemental skill, then use Bennett's burst. As you can see, the Hydro status won't go away from the enemy. Then use Kazuha to swirl and you can get both Hydro and Pyro damage bonus. There are multiple ways to get 2 or more damage buffs. You can swirl different enemies with different element applied to them to get multiple damage bonuses. Swirling enemies affected by Electro Charge can give both Electro and Hydro damage bonus. Also, Swirl will do double damage when you do it on multiple enemies together. Moving on to his artifacts. The Viridescent set is his best in slot. Even if you are using him as hybrid DPS, Viridescent is your go-to option. If you wish to use him as DPS because you have him at C6 or just for fun, you can use 2-piece Viridescent with 2-piece any set that gives 18% attack. For his artifact stats, for support Kazuha, which is the most preferred way to build him, go for EM on each piece. For hybrid build, where you use Kazuha in quick swap teams just for his skills and burst, going for EM is still a good option on him when you are against multiple enemies, as Swirl deal more damage against many enemies. You can use a typical DPS build by focusing on attack percent and crit rate if you are against a single enemy or want to deal more anemo damage. If you don't have enough energy recharge from your substats for his quick swap team, you can use ER sands. Generally for Kazuha, full EM build is the way to go. For substats, try to get as much EM as possible for his support build. Getting some energy recharge is also great, but don't prioritize it over elemental mastery. You can try to get ER substats from your EM pieces. For DPS build, focus on crit stats and attack percent. Getting some energy recharge is also very helpful. Moving on to his weapons. Freedom Sword is his best in slot as it is the sword with the highest elemental mastery in the game, and its passive also buffs the whole team. However, we already have a very strong F2P choice for Kazuha, which is the Iron Steam. So I don't think Freedom Sword is worth pulling as the weapon banner is a complete scam. You can use energy recharge swords like the Sacrificial Sword, Skyward Blade, Festering Desire, or Fervor Sword if you are using Kazuha in quick swap teams and are not using any other anemo unit with him. For his anemo DPS build, there are many swords you can use. For 5 stars, you can use the Primordial Jade Cutter, Haran Geppaku, Mist Splitter, or Summit Shaper if you can keep him shielded. For 4 stars, you can use the Black Sword, Amenoma, Lion's Sword, Black Cliff, or the Flute. The new 4-star sword, Cursed Blade, will also be a great option for his DPS build. For his constellations, he is already an insane support at C0 and you don't need to pull for any. But the constellation that will make him completely broken is his second constellation. It will give all the party members inside his burst 200 elemental mastery. His C1 is also very strong. It decreases his skills cooldown by 10% and resets it after using his burst. So you can spam his skills many times, which will give him more energy, solving any energy issues you have on him. His third and fifth constellation increases his talent level. His fourth constellation just gives him more energy, and the sixth one makes him a main DPS. Now moving on to his team comps. Kazuha is a very flexible unit as he can fit into any Pyro, Electro, Cryo or Hydro team except for teams like the Hutao team, where there is no initial Pyro applier. Kazuha is generally the best option for any reactionary team, as well as mono element team comps because of the huge elemental buffs he provides, along with an amazing crowd control which can be situationally better than Venti. You can also use him in quick swap teams with other sub DPS like Fischl and Zingshu. In such comps, you will need to stack some ER on Kazuha as you will be spamming his burst. If you want to use him as main anemo DPS, you can build teams like this. I will be showcasing him with his support build and in quick swap team. Kazuha is a very strong support who can fit into most of the teams. He is also very fun to play and has one of the best animations in the game. Hope this video was helpful. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more Genshin Impact videos. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.
なんになんになんになんお、うん。